the Victor Easy Micro Camper Build, and we're here today to talk about tools. I said you're going to just need the most basic tools. I'm going to pick out the tools that I think we can use, and just to make this all fair, I'm going to be using exactly the same tools. So I won't be slipping over on the table saw or the bandsaw. I'm going to use whatever I recommend and make sure that you can do it. So let's take a look at what we're going to choose. We won't be using any miter saws, chop saws, no vices, no welding, no drill press, no table saw, no bandsaw. So let's just see what we're going to get. First of all, we need to cut metal, so we'll get a grinder. And now we've got to drill some holes, so let's grab a drill. And the last thing we need to do is cut things, so we'll get ourselves a jigsaw. Okay, so there's what we're going to use. And if you notice, these are all corded tools. We're not using any cordless. These are the cheapest tools you can find. So let's look at each one of these individually. This is the 4.5-inch grinder. That's the diameter there. It can have all kinds of discs on it, so which is great because you can do things, sanding, buffing, cutting materials. These are diamond discs, for cutting stone, marble. These are masonry. But the ones that we're going to use most are these. They're cut-off discs. And if you can see, they are very thin. Something like 5/32 of an inch. They come in a bundle like that, and it's good to buy extra ones because you'll break them and they wear down quickly. You can always have a wire brush as well, or this is a grinder that normally comes with. That's for shaping metal. This won't grind because it's only for cutting. So with probably cut-off discs and a grinder, we might just be fine. The thing that we need to do with this is cut metal is our main thing. What we use is bed frames, mainly because they're thin and strong, but they have to be cut. So let's just see how we can cut that with the grinder. Before we cut that, another thing we can use, and we're going to use right now, we need sometimes something to hold things down. So let's get ourselves a small C-clamp. It's like a 3-inch, just to hold stuff down. So we want to make sure that whatever we're working on doesn't get away on us. So clamping it to the surface or to a board that you're working on really helps. There's also safety issues. Gloves are always handy. These blades spin very quickly. A lot of sparks fly out, so if you've got something like an old coat, I have a leather apron that I use, but because the sparks will just make holes in your t-shirt. And the other thing is eye protection. I like wearing these welding goggles mainly because they fit right over my glasses. But the other good thing about them is if you flip them down, you can't really see, but you look really cool. So, yeah. Okay. So that's what we're going to use for cutting our metal, which is mainly the bed rails for our structure. Our next tool is going to be a jigsaw. This is mainly because it comes with all different types of blades. This is a fairly coarse blade for cutting wood. We've got fine blades, metal blades, and what we have are very fine blades that are good for cutting small curves and getting into places. So this gives us a variety of types of ways of cutting things, and allows us to cut curved lines, which is something we're going to need. The materials that we're going to be cutting are plywood, so Baltic birch plywood, which has very fine laminations, is quite solid, and we'll also be using poplar. So this is a hardwood, but a fairly inexpensive hardwood. So a jigsaw will cut these well and do a nice clean job on it. We just have to make sure we use the right blade. The last thing we need is a drill. It needs to be a reversing drill, ideally, and variable speed. So this has got a keyless chuck. Doesn't have to be a fancy drill. This is a 3/8. Most of the drill bits we're using are going to be small. We might be doing some driver, so that's why it's good to have a reverse and forward. There's other things we can use, like sanding drums. There's bits, depending on the types of screws that you use. But these are pretty affordable and easy to come by. Probably a friend has one hanging around. So those are the basic power tools that we're going to use. Probably adjustable wrench would be handy. Maybe the odd open-end wrench, but we really don't need too much. One good thing to have would be some vice grips, just to hold metal pieces when you're cutting them. But most of these other things you don't need, although you could always use somebody else to give you a hand. One thing we will need is a set of bed rails to make our frame. So I normally find these in the garbage, so keep your eye out for them. They come in a couple different sizes, but this is 1.5 inches. There's another one a bit smaller, 1.25 inches. Either one of them will do. Well, that's pretty much it for the tools that we'll need and some of the materials. So I'll leave that with you for a while and see if you can come up with any of that stuff. I'll be working on the design to figure out exactly how we're going to build it, and I'll be getting back to you. So thanks very much for dropping by, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.